Hello, everyone. My name is Chase Tisserand, or also known as Zycro. I am the original founder and CEO of Luxury Esports, and I'm making this video in response to the tweet longer that was recently made by Cypher and a couple other people, and their shared experience that they had in the organization or things that they have heard. I'm simply making this video to debunk all the false things that were stated in this tweet longer. The first thing I'll start with is the Aqua situation that they stated in their tweet longer. That I'll put up on the screen right here. Aqua was a Fortnite content creator for Lux, and one night he claimed that he had won $4,000 from a Fortnite tournament, Zycro. The owner of the organization was immediately furious that he hadn't been notified about him entering the tournament and claimed that Aqua, a 14-year-old, owed him $1,000 because he had Lux in his name. After an hour or so, Aqua came out and said that he faked it in order to build hype in the org. Aqua lied about winning money in the Fortnite tournament, stating that he won $4,000, and then I told him that we needed to talk before playing in a prize that high. In reality, Aqua lied to me about placing high enough to earn any money at all. Going off of the 25-75 split agreement that we have in our terms and agreements, which Aqua was told and everyone else agreed to, he knew this rule and so did everyone else. I then found out that Aqua didn't even place high enough to win any money at all. He didn't even place in the tournament at all. I'm showing these screenshots right here of the leaderboards. This is the players that legitimately placed in the tournament. Here's this screenshot of him putting his name into it, photoshopping his name into it to lie. And he put these screenshots in the public chat and the Lux Discord. And he was trying to show proof that he did place in it, which he was completely lying about. Again, replaced his names with his own. And then he went on to tell me to my face that the reason why he lied in the public chat to everybody was to try and make me look bad and to try and make it seem like I was stealing money from him. We ended up removing him for that issue. There were other issues other than that that went into that decision, but that is ultimately why we removed him, and there's my explanation about that situation. Now I'm going to move on to the Blue/Wenge situation. Again, this is what was stated in the tweet longer. Blue, also known as Wenge, was the team captain of the academy roster for Lux. During my stay on the org, after a league match, Wenge made a request to drop some of the players who weren't performing well. In response, Zycro kicked Wenge, saying he was being arrogant and they deserved more time to grow. I've heard many bad things about Wenge. At the time, I had these two players reach out to me. I'm going to censor their names, but here's the screenshots of what they told me. And this was at that time period. And they said these things to me, stating that he was being toxic and the situations and stuff. Wenge was also not being very responsive with me at all and left me no choice but to drop him due to toxicity and transfer the captain role over to two other players. Those two other players at that time period. The roster was then dropped later on due to inactivity, and the players understood why they were being dropped and parted ways peacefully, and there was nothing else that happened from that. And I guarantee those guys now I've had some good conversations with, and we have just had no problems with that. I'm now going to talk on the content creation management that they talked about. It says, when I joined the org, I made it very clear I was an aspiring content creator. They did absolutely nothing to support me or any of the other content creators. The most we would get was a retweet. None of the graphics were provided by the org. All of them I either had to be outsourced or I had to make them myself. Speaking of logos, when we joined the org, he wanted to do an announcement post, but we didn't want to show our faces, so we opted to do logos. My teammates, of course, didn't have logos, so with my past experience in graphic design, I opted to make my teammates' logos. However, Zycro translated this as being a free source of graphic design, continually pushing me to make the logos, even when I said that schoolwork was stacking up and I had to focus more on school. When Cypher was making the logos, I never pushed him at all. I politely asked him a few times before the team disbanded. These logos were never fully finished. They were never fully finished before the team disbanded. Here's the screenshots right here of whenever he said he was going to make the logos. So when essentially he started them. And here's a screenshot of whenever he finished the last logo of the team. Now, a little bit, maybe a day or two after he made that last logo, they dropped one of their players and they brought in a new player. Again, I'm not going to name names. They brought in a new player and he needed a logo, that new player. And Cypher never made the logo in time before the team disbanded. So the team disbanded and he didn't have a logo made for him in time. The reason why we couldn't make the announcement because of the logos is because for our website, the logos or the players of the pictures will go up on our website. And we also have to get them edited and get the little template behind them to make it look more professional. Plus, we have to get their description up there. So the reason why we couldn't announce them is because we needed to get the logos done so we could put them on the website so we could announce them. He never got the logos made in time with these screenshots right here of when he started it, when he quote unquote finished it, which he never fully finished them before the team disbanded. And that's why we couldn't announce them, because he couldn't finish the logos in time. Cypher could not finish the logos in time before the team disbanded. That is why he never got announced. And then they talk about the social media management. Again, this is what was stated in the tweet longer. Zycro is literally the only member of staff. That's pretty much all I need to say. We were on the org for almost 4 months and didn't get announced at any point across any social media platforms, even after I finished the logos. Again, Cypher, the logos were never finished. I asked you multiple times, politely. You never finished them. You never finished them before the team disbanded. Again, the reason why we can't announce you is because we need the pictures up on the website, and you didn't finish those logos in time. And then we go on to talk about the esports management side that they talk about in the tweet longer. I can only speak for the R6 esports management, seeing as that is the only game I played competitively while on the org. During the months that we were on the org, we never had a consistent roster due to situations with players and personal situations. Although Zyko knew this, he consistently pushed us to do paid leagues and threatened us to drop us when we inevitably didn't do well with a brand new roster. A great example of this is when Jake joined the team, and 2 days later we were presumed into SCL quals, and he was hard set on us getting through the closed quals, which is unimaginably unrealistic. Sorry, speaking a lot. When you have a full roster ready to compete, I expect you to play in a league. It's that simple. And when I see that one of my teams isn't doing well, I'm going to talk to them and see however I can to help them or discuss what was going on. And if, the situation is they just want to play in one league at a time because they want to spend more time on scrims, things like that. A new player comes in, they just want to play in one league at a time. That's totally okay. We have done that with rosters in the past. That's not a problem at all. But if they are ready to do 2 leagues, they're going to play in 2 leagues. That is our requirement. As a business, we need to have our rosters, it's essentially dice rolls. We need them to be, we're throwing chances out there for us to make money, essentially. Obviously, there's stuff that goes into that, and I don't look at it just from a business perspective. I care about my players. But I would never push any of my teams with a roster that isn't ready to compete in a league or a qualifier, because as a business perspective, that doesn't make any sense. If we're throwing dice rolls out there, I'm going to throw the best dice roll out there possible. And if I'm going to throw a team out there that was just built with a new player, why would I have any confidence that they would make it past the qualifier? I wouldn't, and I didn't. I didn't put you guys in a qualifier that just doesn't make any sense. I would never put money into a qualifier with a roster that isn't ready to play in it. I wouldn't ever push them to do that. I would never make them do that. That was simply your guys' choice. If you didn't want to play in the quals, you didn't have to. I honestly shouldn't have paid your entry into the qual because of the new player that came in, but you guys made it very evident you were ready to play in it and you were wanting to do it. Now, I should have never trusted that, because all 3 of the qualifiers that I paid your entry for to play in, you didn't make it past all 3 of the qualifiers. Not one of them. The roster did end up disbanding. After I put faith into them, and I told them after those 3 leagues that they played in, or the 3 qualifiers that they played in, they didn't make it past them. I told them I was going to keep faith in them and I was going to keep funding their stuff. We didn't remove them, they disbanded. And then they talk about in the tweet longer, providing a coach. This is, again, what was stated in the tweet longer. Zycro failed time and time again to provide us with a coach. Even when we reached out to him dozens of times across weeks and weeks, the single coach he provided us was 30 years old and didn't have a basic understanding of the meta. We had him watch one VOD, and the first thing he said was, you shouldn't have 2 people roam clearing, and you guys drone too much. Due to this, we had to outsource and find our own coach, which Zycro, for some reason, got very annoyed with and ultimately added to the divide. In the Lux terms and agreements right here, we never state that we will provide you with a coach ever. We never say we will provide you with a coach. We've never said that. And I still did provide you guys with a coach from our old roster, and you guys didn't like him, and I was completely fine with that. You guys went and found a new coach. I was completely fine with that. I wasn't annoyed by it. I let you guys make whatever decision you wanted, and we moved past it. It was never an issue again. So again, I never say I'm going to provide you with a coach, so you can't complain about me not providing you with a coach. I still provided you with a coach. Obviously, you guys didn't like him, which is fine. You guys got your own coach. It was never an issue again. And then it says in the tweet longer that, and the tweet is about me and my experience with the professional Siege scene. It says this, I played Xbox Pro League in quotation marks. I'm like 95% sure this dude did not. I cannot find a fucking photo of this dude playing a Lanovan. That was the only fucking thing he spoke about. The guy would say, I haven't played comp in a while, so I don't understand the meta, and then 5 minutes later try to explain the meta to us from the perspective of someone from 6 years ago. I don't want to touch on this too much because that's not the point of why I'm making this video. The point is to debunk all the false information people are saying and talking about. I'm not making this video to talk about myself. That was years ago. I completely understand that. I get it was Xbox. It's a different meta now. I would never try to understand something that I don't. I wouldn't ever try and tell people, like, I understand something that I don't, try and tell them things I don't understand. That's a waste of time, one, for me, and it doesn't help them. I'm going to do whatever I can to help my players grow and just become better players in general, but I'm not going to throw something in their face that I don't know and isn't going to help them. I don't understand the meta. I'm stating that right now. I've stated that multiple times. I don't know the meta now. I don't play the game anymore. The Xbox Meta Pro League then was completely different, but I did play in the Pro League on Xbox. I did. And that's something I'm proud about. And there's some things I've learned from that when it comes to understanding about being a good teammate, treating your players with respect, mentality of just playing a game at that high of a level, and just understanding, the time you put in every day, the right places to put your time into when it comes to practice, things like that, one-on-one practice, things like that. But when it comes to strats and things like that, that's completely up to the players. I don't understand the meta, so I'm not going to try to. These next statements were all from previous players. I did not know exactly who said these, but they are previous members of Lux. It states in this right now. The org owner blackmailed 3 of our players and said that we wouldn't be announced if we didn't change our socials. The blackmail was mainly targeting against our second security within the org. He basically treated it like we didn't change our socials, then we didn't deserve a spot on the team. The requirements for Lux, which are stated right here in the terms of agreements, is that you have to change your username and bio on all gaming social medias, all of them. And the reason why we do that is because if we're going to do all this stuff for our players at our level, which we believe is a lot compared to some other organizations at our level, we merely just ask our players to, one, represent our organization and represent it professionally. And the way they would represent it is on social media. You're the face of the organization via social media, and everything you do directly reflects it. And if you're going to be out there playing, we just want you to represent our organization. We stated that in our terms of agreements right here, again. So it just doesn't make any sense. Here's the next statement made in the tweet longer. The org owner was just a complete asshole to all of us and wouldn't stop putting his ego in the way of us. We tried to make our own roster decisions, but he wanted to do everything, and we had basically no control over our team. That was terrible because normally when you sign a team, you trust them and believe in them. I would love to know who this is. I don't know who this is. Again, in the tweet longer, the rest of this stuff I'm going to be talking about, they didn't say their name, and they didn't mention anything about what roster they played for, so I don't know who it is. I'd love to have a conversation with these people and figure it out and discuss it. But I always try to make sure every single one of my members, whether they're a player, content creator, graphic designer, whatever it may be, I want them to feel welcomed, and I want them to have whatever they need to compete at the highest level possible. Also, when it comes to roster changes, the only time I would ever make a roster change is if a player is misrepresenting my organization, and I would go and talk to them first, have a civil conversation, and based on their attitude, if they're being very disrespectful and not wanting to, listen to what I'm just trying to talk to them about, we might make a decision then. But most of the time we just give them a warning, depending on how bad it is. And then if it happens again, then we're going to remove them. I've put 6 years into owning this organization. Those past 6 years, I've made sure this organization has a good reputation, and I'm not going to let some players ruin that. So, we focus a lot on making sure our players represent our organization the right way. Now, for another statement that they added, they said the org owner also took 50% of our earnings when they only said 20%. We were lied to multiple times, and it seemingly never stopped. This is clearly just completely false and untrue information. It says clear in our terms and agreements right here that the split is 25% goes to Luxury Esports and 75% goes to the roster, and then it is split up between all the rosters fairly. This person provided no proof that I allegedly stole 50% of their earnings, which is something I would never do. To the simple fact of I've had money stolen from me in situations like this. I would never do that to a player, and as a player in the past, that's something I would never want to happen to me, so I would never do that to anybody. And legally, as a business, that is completely messed up and unfair. I would never do that. This is simply somebody just stating completely false information. Our number one priority as an organization is to take care of our players and give them whatever they need to compete at the highest level possible, and make sure our members have a good community they want to be behind. This is something I would never do, and there's no proof to prove it. Here's the final statement that they said in the tweet longer, and then I'll make my final statement. Here's the final statement that they made. The community in Lux is so bad that we played some of their main in a ranked match, and we started instantly getting called racial slurs and terrible words. We let the org owner know, and he did nothing to change it. This happened multiple times. I do not support racism in any way, shape, or form, and I hope that those kinds of words are never associated with my organization. Luxury is a non-toxic community I've built over the past 6 years that I've put a lot of hard work into by myself, and those kinds of words and actions are never condoned. It will never, in ever, any circumstance, ever be condoned at Luxury Esports, ever. This is the last thing I'll ever say about it. This is the last thing I'm going to say in this video. I'd love to sit down with these people and talk to them about these statements and try and understand more from their perspective on how they felt mistreated, and or just maybe just have a civil conversation and try and work things out. But the last thing I'll say is, I'm excited with what we're doing. We're going to continue doing what we're doing. Hopefully these guys will reach out to me. We're going to have some civil conversations, but I hope this clears this up for all my players and some of the people that were concerned. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys later. Fly higher, baby.